Sean Diddy Combs was transferred to the federal prison at Fort Dix, New Jersey yesterday, where he will start to serve the rest of his 50-month sentence.
October 30th, 2025 marked the moment everything shifted for Sean Diddy Combs. After months of anticipation, he was officially transferred to Fort Dix, a facility his legal team had been pushing for behind the scenes. Not long after, CBS News obtained his intake photo, and the image alone spoke volumes. Gray hair spreading fast, heavy eyes locked on the camera, and a worn expression that hinted at the weight of reality finally setting in. Then came leaked details about his everyday routine, and it painted a rough picture fast. Early mornings starting at 5 a.m. sharp, assigned duties that bring in just a few cents an hour, and sleeping in a shared dorm alongside 8 other inmates. No privacy, no luxury, no buffers at all. This wasn't rumor talk anymore. This was documented reality unfolding in real time. October 30th, 2025 wasn't just another transfer date. It became a turning point that reshaped everything around him. After roughly 13 months at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, he watched his once untouchable empire unravel day by day from the inside. The isolation, the pressure, and the slow grind clearly left a mark. Since his September 2024 arrest, his attorneys had been lobbying hard for this exact move. Legal filings showed Fort Dix was chosen to address wellness concerns, improve access to family visits, and support long-term rehabilitation efforts. Located about 75 miles south of New York City, the facility placed him closer to loved ones than Brooklyn ever allowed, and that distance mattered more than people realized. The contrast between the two facilities couldn't be sharper. MDC Brooklyn had a brutal reputation, often described by former detainees as unbearable. Fort Dix was framed as an improvement, and on paper, it looked that way. It's the largest single federal correctional complex in the country, housing roughly 4,100 men total, with nearly 3,900 at the main site and another 200 at a nearby minimum security camp. Shortly after his arrival, CBS News revealed the intake photo his team likely hoped would stay unseen. The standard issue uniform, the exhausted stare, and the visible aging.
In the clip obtained by TMZ, the disgraced rapper could be seen taking off his blue jacket and scarf while chatting with another inmate at the prison's media library in the chapel. Combs was reportedly getting ready to begin his work shift, which consists of giving movies and religious materials to other inmates.
Told a story, words couldn't soften. But what really shocks people is how Fort Dix actually operates. There are no traditional single cells here. The facility runs on open dormitory-style housing, converted from former military barracks back in 1992. Some units pack 12 men into tight spaces with 6 bunk beds stacked close together.
Diddy once paid people to wash his sneakers. Now he's scrubbing floors for free.
Others are massive open bays holding up to 100 inmates at once. Imagine trying to exist, rest, and stay alert in a space that crowded. According to publicist Judah Engelmeyer, there was no special treatment waiting on arrival. He reportedly shares space with 8 others, moving within the general population like everyone else. The same man who once had assistants handling every minor task is now lining up for basics like everyone else. Every single day starts the same way. At 5 a.m., bright fluorescent lights flip on without warning. No easing into the morning, no exceptions, no delays. Inmates rush to prepare, line up for count, and fall into a strict routine whether they're ready or not. By 6 a.m., it's breakfast time. Standard institutional meals, mass-prepared and handed out assembly line style. No chefs, no custom orders, no shortcuts. Complaints don't go far, and most don't get acknowledged at all. After that comes work duty, and that's where the chatter really picked up. Assignments include the laundry facility and positions tied to the chapel library, roles that pay only a few cents an hour, but structure the entire day. From luxury to lines, from control to compliance, this new routine hit hard and fast. TMZ later obtained footage that made everything feel painfully real. It showed Sean Diddy Combs inside the laundry operation, sorting uniforms, washing linens and sheets, and loading massive industrial dryers packed with clothes. This isn't optional either. At the federal level, daily work is mandatory. No debates, no excuses. And the contrast hits hard when you remember the luxury labels, The custom looks and outfits once worth more than most people's rent. One person online summed it up perfectly, and that comment spread fast. The irony was impossible to ignore. CBS News also revealed his second work detail, a role at the chapel library. That position involves handing out movies, managing reading materials, and organizing religious resources. Inside Fort Dix, this is considered one of the more desirable assignments, and that says a lot. It's quieter than the laundry floor, definitely calmer than kitchen duty. And yes, it comes with actual perks, including access to a small air-conditioned office. His publicist described the environment as warm, respectful, and even rewarding. They emphasized that he works inside the chapel library, trying to frame it as almost peaceful. But let's be real, the bottom line stays the same. He's following orders just like everyone else. There's no picking your schedule and no calling the shots. Work assignments run until around 4 p.m., broken up by multiple head counts throughout the day. Officers routinely check attendance, sometimes 5 or 6 times daily. That means constant interruptions.
I was there a day and a half. This is not a jail. This is an insane asylum. And he agreed. It was a zoo.
Sudden stops and resets that slowly wear people down. It's a system designed to keep everyone alert and compliant. When evening finally arrives, recreation time is limited but exists.
They said the federal prison is low security, but Diddy's longtime lawyer, Mark Garagos, previously told Harvey on Two Angry Men podcast that Diddy will have a target on his back wherever he ends up.
There's access to the outdoor yard, basketball courts for those who want to play, and a track for walking or running. Indoors, there's a shared TV room with basic cable only. No streaming, no browsing, and absolutely no internet access at all. Phone calls are tightly monitored, with conversations subject to review, and that's where things reportedly got complicated. CBS News stated that on November 3rd, a rule violation occurred involving a 3-way phone call. According to reports, the call involved discussions with legal representatives about issuing a statement to the New York Times. As a result, he reportedly lost phone and commissary privileges for 90 days. His publicist pushed back quickly, saying the call was not initiated by him and insisting it fell under attorney-client confidentiality protections. Here's where eyebrows really went up. On November 12th, his projected release date was quietly pushed back by nearly a month, shifting from May 8th, 2028 to June 4th, 2028. No official explanation was offered, and that silence sparked plenty of chatter. As of press time, meals are served 3 times a day in the dining hall. Former inmates say the food is basic at best, sometimes past its prime, and far from fresh. There are no special options unless medically required. Nothing fancy, nothing customized, and definitely nothing gourmet. Many say you eventually learn to appreciate anything that doesn't taste like cardboard. Commissary access exists, allowing inmates to buy snacks, hygiene items, and limited clothing. But supplies are capped, prices are inflated, and funds must come from outside accounts. With a $320 monthly spending limit, budgeting becomes serious business fast. By 10 p.m., it's mandatory lights out. The dorms quiet down, but never fully. In open bay housing, up to 100 men try to sleep in the same space. Snoring, whispers, movement, and noise never really stop. Peace and silence are rare, and before you know it, 5 a.m. is back again. That's why the publicist's description raised eyebrows. Former inmates paint a very different picture. One man who spent 17 months there between 2019 and 2020 told reporters his experience was anything but comfortable. Even Joe Giudice, who served 41 months at Fort Dix, shared insight. He said how someone's experience plays out depends heavily on how they carry themselves day to day. Giudice also described witnessing late-night activity during early morning hours that staff often overlooked. He said he'd wake around 3 or 4 a.m. and see things most people wouldn't expect. Others echoed similar accounts, saying some activity happened after hours while supervision stayed minimal. But here's the part that always gets attention. According to Giudice, money still talks inside.
Judge Aaron said he wouldn't recommend Fort Dix, but he would recommend a Northeast facility. The only problem was, why did he get sent by Fort Dix? It's not because he did anything special. It's not because they took pity on him. It's because, right? Because he had a shorter sentence.
Inmates can pay for services like shoe shining, extra protection, tailored clothing, and even special food arrangements made quietly behind the scenes. The system may strip status, but it doesn't erase influence entirely. That's just how it goes inside. According to Tyler King, life at Fort Dix is still galaxies away from anything he lived on the outside. The status, the control, the empire, all gone. Visits become sacred moments, but they're tightly regulated and closely watched at every step, leaving no room for comfort or spontaneity. His family support hasn't disappeared, though. His 7 kids have stayed publicly supportive, posting birthday messages and words of love across social media. Whether they've physically visited Fort Dix hasn't been confirmed, but the loyalty is loud and visible. That kind of backing matters when everything else feels stripped away.
This is what kills me about the prison system. They know. Because these people, if you're doing life in jail, you got life, man.
The holidays bring their own kind of emotional weight. King explained that special meals are never guaranteed, even during major celebrations. This past Thanksgiving, the menu reportedly came down to deli meat options or peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. That's it. No extras, no festive spread, no warm family table.
I couldn't imagine how Diddy felt, but Diddy's holding it down. He's doing what he's got to do. Diddy was living a rock star life, so I'm glad he's going to get the time to just relax. Diddy's in good spirits. He's still Diddy.
Christmas looks slightly better on paper, but still far from glamorous. Lunch reportedly included baked Cornish hen, mashed potatoes, fruit, and possibly a holiday dessert. Decent by institutional standards, but nothing close to the lavish celebrations he once knew. Still, his family kept showing love from afar.
These first photos of Diddy at the Fort Dix Federal Correctional Institution in South Jersey surfaced on TMZ over the weekend. In one, Diddy is smiling in his gray knit cap, looking happy and relaxed.
When he turned 56 in early November, his kids flooded social media with messages. "We love you," "We miss you," and heartfelt birthday tributes poured in. Quincy posted, "Happy birthday to the best dad ever." His twin daughters shared their love too, even though they couldn't be there in person. Meanwhile, the calendar keeps moving without him. His projected release date currently sits at June 4th, 2028. With good behavior credits, that could shrink to roughly 22 to 24 months, possibly followed by time in a halfway house. His legal team filed an expedited appeal back in November, with arguments scheduled for April 2026. Sources say his appellate team is top tier and fully locked in. But none of that changes the day-to-day reality right now. Every morning, the lights snap on at 5 a.m. without mercy. Every day follows the same rigid structure. Every night ends in a bunk surrounded by strangers. The man who once had access to everything now has a number, a schedule, and a date that feels painfully distant. But routines alone don't tell the full story. To really understand Fort Dix,
Federal judge this afternoon has approved their appeal of the verdict to be heard as early as next spring. They want both charges dropped, claiming the law was mistakenly applied to his case.
you have to hear from someone who lived it alongside him. On December 23rd, just 2 days before Christmas, Sebastian Telfair walked out of FCI Fort Dix a free man. His kids were waiting, emotions running high, relief written all over his face. But what the world wanted to hear wasn't just about his release. Hours after walking out, Telfair sat down with TMZ for his first interview, and he didn't hold back at all. The former NBA lottery pick, who spent 10 years in the league, described the shock of going from packed arenas to open dorms, from private flights to early morning counts.
Were you aware that you were going to come home 2 days before Christmas?
No, I thought I was going to come home 2 days after Christmas.
Okay.
And then, God always doing what he do for me, so.
He admitted the experience was rough. The adjustment wasn't easy. But when he talked about Sean Diddy Combs, his tone shifted. "I couldn't imagine how he felt," Telfair said, pointing to the contrast between penthouses and prison bunks, private jets and transport buses, global fame and federal custody. Still, according to Telfair, Diddy didn't fall apart. That wasn't speculation. He saw it daily. They walked the same yards, ate the same meals, and followed the same schedules. He watched how Diddy navigated a system designed to remove every advantage fame and money once provided, and that part surprised him the most.
You're going back to the NBA to do like some kind of work there. Have you had any offers from anyone in the NBA asking you to come back and do some kind of work there?
I just signed with a new agent. How Kimberly, how you doing?
I know that's right.
So
you got a new agent.
I got a new agent. I'm gonna be playing in the Big Three.
What Sebastian Telfair described wasn't chaos or collapse at all. He said what he saw was someone keeping composure, following the rules, and staying disciplined day after day. No meltdowns, no scenes, just structure and consistency in a place that tests everyone.
Defendants typically get sentenced to less than 15 months for these offenses. Even when coercion, which the jury didn't find here, is involved, he sits in prison today serving a 50-month sentence because the district judge acted as a 13th juror.
Telfair also pointed to Fort Dix's RDAP program, a substance recovery initiative that can potentially reduce time served. He wasn't throwing shade or passing judgment, just stating facts from the inside. The program focuses on accountability, routine, and self-work, and it's one of the few paths inmates take seriously.
Alicia, always great to be on with you. Let's be very frank about this case. You can't unsee what you saw, you can't unhear what you heard, and you can't unremember what you read. And it's clear that that judge took certain things in consideration that were part of the evidence, and it is permitted under the Mann Act.
Everyone remembers the flashy lifestyle from the outside. The non-stop events, the excess, the late nights, and the image of total control that became central to the public case. Inside Fort Dix, that world stopped completely.
This departure from what should have been imposed on Sean Combs. They're also arguing, which is a real stretch, that these freak-offs and these hotel encounters were really amateur free. It's going to be a real stretch to get to overturn that sentencing, especially when you look at the guidelines on itself under the Mann Act. It's between 70 and 80 months. The judge gave 50 months here. So this type of these arguments, frankly, if I looked at my crystal ball, it's going to fail.
No access, no influence, no shortcuts. And Telfair suggested that sudden pause might have been exactly what was needed.
His defense team really feels that there's a problem with the Mann Act. You can certainly lobby against that act and have it rendered unconstitutional, but it's historically sound, it's constitutional, nothing's been overturned.
Prison, in that sense, becomes forced reflection. Time to sit with yourself, time to reevaluate, time to heal mentally.
That's him, that's Diddy. And they chatted it up for a second. He said Diddy's holding it down. He's doing what he got to do. And where he's at, they're going to help him. He clarified that Diddy had previously been living a rock star life.
It's not a perspective people like to hear, but coming from someone who just lived it, it hit differently. That statement, Diddy still Diddy, carried real weight. Not because it excused anything, but because it spoke to identity behind bars. When everything is stripped away, reputation, money, status, what's left is who you really are. Prison doesn't magically change someone's core. It tests it. It removes the outer layers, but the foundation stays. Telfair said Sean Diddy Combs appeared in good spirits. Not broken, not withdrawn, not falling apart. Still confident, still composed, just wearing olive greens instead of designer suits. This wasn't the image many expected. Not the defeated mogul some headlines tried to sell. Instead, it was a man adjusting to a new reality, finding routine, finding structure, and holding on to his sense of self. Telfair also spoke about meeting solid people inside, not just Diddy, but men from all backgrounds, all walks of life, all carrying different stories. Inside those walls, bonds formed that would never happen on the outside. The contrast between who they were and where they ended up was striking.
Fort Dix is a minimum security facility. He's not in general population, but in a special housing area for inmates in drug treatment programs.
Telfair himself received early release on December 23rd instead of December 26th. A real holiday blessing for his family. But Diddy's situation looks different. Different charges, different outcomes, likely serving most of his term. Still, the daily experience stays the same. Same food, same dorms, same early wake-ups at 5 a.m. Fort Dix isn't MDC Brooklyn, where this journey started. That place was isolating and intense. Fort Dix is minimum security, more movement, better programs, and more focus on rehabilitation. It was chosen intentionally by his legal team for those exact reasons, plus being closer to family for visits. A strategic move, but the grind remains real every single day. The RDAP program, Residential Drug Abuse Program, that Sebastian Telfair mentioned, could be a real game changer. Federal treatment programs like this can shave up to 12 months off a sentence. And when someone is looking at around 50 months, that reduction is massive. Every month matters, and inside Fort Dix, programs like RDAP aren't just paperwork, they're strategy. Telfair's own path to Fort Dix came from a different chain of events. After pleading guilty in 2023 to a healthcare fraud case, he initially received probation, 3 years of supervised release, and community service requirements. Regular check-ins were expected, but he didn't complete the service hours and missed consistent reporting. Small violations stacked up fast.
Well, everybody's different. I'm sure he went back with somewhat disappointed, so he's probably, dwelling on that. Hey, it could have been differently. Maybe I should have gotten out. Maybe he's a little bit upset, a little bit angry. I get it. All those emotions come into play. But right now, he's got to get ready.
By August 2024, the judge stepped in and sent him back for 6 months at Fort Dix. His expected release was February 2025, but good behavior moved things quicker. He ended up walking out early, proving compliance still matters inside the system. That healthcare fraud case itself was massive. A total of 18 former NBA players were involved, accused of submitting fraudulent medical claims tied to the NBA's health and welfare plan. The filings included dental work and medical procedures that reportedly never happened, adding up to nearly $4 million in losses. Federal investigators don't overlook financial cases at that scale. Indictments rolled out in October 2021, and while Telfair initially pushed back, reality set in. His 2023 plea deal was seen as lenient at the time, but once he violated its terms, that leniency vanished instantly. Now released and focused forward, Telfair had new plans ready. He announced his intent to join the Big Three, the 3-on-3 basketball league founded by Ice Cube. The league gives former NBA players a shot at competition again, and for Telfair, it's about redemption, proving he still has skill and chasing MVP recognition. Meanwhile, life inside Fort Dix continued unfolding for Sean "Diddy" Combs. His legal team wasn't backing down. On December 23rd, the same day Telfair walked free, Diddy's attorneys filed an emergency appeal challenging his 50-month sentence. The defense argued the punishment was excessive, pointing to similar federal cases that resulted in shorter terms. They claimed the judge went beyond the jury's findings and acted as what they called a 13th juror, weighing evidence outside the verdict. The appeal went further, labeling the outcome a miscarriage of justice. Legal analysts weren't convinced at all. Many pointed out that federal sentencing guidelines for comparable cases actually range higher, often between 70 and 80 months. Another argument followed, suggesting the recorded encounter should be considered protected expression between consenting adults. That angle raised eyebrows quickly, with experts saying it stretched credibility to its limits. In reality, Diddy received 50 months, which many observers noted was below guideline recommendations. The judge appeared to show restraint, not excess, and followed established procedures step by step. Because of that, the appeal odds are considered extremely slim. The statute itself remains constitutionally sound, and nothing indicates procedural missteps occurred. Still, Telfair's public support mattered, not legally, but on a human level. Prison strips away everything fast: titles, money, influence, and image. What's left is the person underneath. As appeals remain pending and programs continue enrolling, time keeps moving. Telfair is preparing for his Big Three return, focused on rebuilding life after consequences. Diddy remains inside Fort Dix, following structure, doing assigned work, and adjusting to routine. Two men from entirely different worlds, basketball and music, different cases, different sentences, different futures. Yet the same shared experience of watching everything familiar fade away, leaving nothing but discipline, time, and reality. The real challenge inside isn't just time, it's holding on to dignity when comfort disappears completely. And according to people who live this routine right alongside him, Sean "Diddy" Combs is doing exactly that. In November 2025, Diddy officially enrolled in a program that could shift everything, not just his release timeline, but his entire future. The residential drug abuse program at Fort Dix is no joke. It runs 9 to 12 months and centers on intensive cognitive behavioral therapy, built around a therapeutic community model that forces deep self-examination. Participants live separately from the general population, spending day after day confronting the habits, decisions, and patterns that led them there. It's structured, demanding, and emotionally heavy. The incentive alone grabs attention fast. Complete the program successfully, and up to 1 full year can be taken off the sentence. For Diddy, that could mean a release as early as May 2027 instead of May 2028. 12 months of freedom is not a small thing, but here's what many people miss. RDAP is not an easy box to check. It's the Bureau of Prisons' most intense treatment option. Daily therapy circles, written accountability work, peer feedback, and strict evaluations. You can't fake participation here, and shortcuts don't exist. His publicist confirmed enrollment using carefully measured language, but documents obtained by CBS News revealed key details about how eligibility was established. During trial proceedings, his attorney Tenny Garagos acknowledged documented substance-related issues within the year prior to arrest. That admission opened the door to RDAP qualification. Without that documentation, there's no program. And without the program, there's no sentence reduction. The legal strategy becomes clear looking back, but eligibility alone doesn't guarantee placement. Across federal facilities, RDAP waiting lists are long. Thousands apply, and not everyone gets in. You must have at least 24 months left on your sentence just to qualify for consideration. Program coordinators review records, verify documentation, and evaluate each candidate carefully. Even Joe Giudice spoke on this reality. His take was blunt. Diddy didn't just walk straight into the program. There were others ahead of him, but strategic legal planning and timing helped clear a path. That planning started early. His legal team specifically requested Fort Dix during sentencing, citing its rehabilitation programs. Judge Aaron Subramanian initially pushed back, reminding the court that defendants don't choose their facility. Those decisions typically fall to the Bureau of Prisons. Still, Diddy ultimately landed exactly where his team hoped. RDAP itself breaks into 3 serious phases. Phase 1 is residential-based treatment. Inmates live in designated RDAP housing, away from general population, attending daily therapy groups, counseling sessions, cognitive behavioral training, and relapse prevention education. Completing this phase earns a certificate, but that's just the beginning. Phase 2 shifts toward reintegration. Therapy continues while interaction with the broader prison population slowly increases. Life skills, discipline, and rule following become non-negotiable. One violation, one failed test, or one disciplinary report can remove you instantly. And the certificate means nothing unless all 3 phases are completed. Prison consultant Christopher Zoukis calls the reduction massive. 1 year off a 50-month sentence is real time and real freedom. The motivation is obvious, but the process is brutal. Daily therapy demands vulnerability most inmates never show, sharing personal struggles, confronting past behavior head-on, and owning mistakes without hiding behind money, status, or public image. Inside RDAP, everyone shows up the same, and there's nowhere to hide at all. The therapeutic community model doesn't play around. It strips away every defense mechanism you've relied on for years. Inside RDAP, participants live together in a structured recovery environment built on peer accountability, constant engagement, and zero downtime. Half the day is spent in treatment, the other half in work assignments, and for Sean, Diddy Combs, that means chapel library duties paired with daily therapy sessions. The schedule is designed to keep minds focused and hands busy. No idle time, no drifting, no hiding. But here's where things got complicated fast. Just days after arriving at Fort Dix, a disciplinary issue surfaced. On November 3rd, prison officials documented a phone rule violation involving a prohibited 3-way call. The report claimed the conversation involved outside logistics that broke Bureau of Prisons rules. The recommendation followed quickly: 90 days without phone access and 90 days without commissary privileges. The timing made it sting even more, as it landed on his 56th birthday. His publicist pushed back immediately, saying it was routine attorney-client communication initiated by legal counsel. But the disciplinary report painted a different picture, including claims that he hadn't reviewed orientation materials outlining phone policies. That discrepancy raised eyebrows inside and outside the facility. More allegations followed online, including claims of prohibited substances inside the facility. His team denied those instantly, posting messages about personal growth and accountability. Damage control moved fast, but former prison officials made one thing clear. If he wants to stay in RDAP, clean conduct is non-negotiable. Former Warden Dwayne Hendricks didn't sugarcoat it. RDAP requires strong institutional adjustment. That means following rules, respecting staff direction, and showing real commitment, not just checking boxes. And here's the reality. Acceptance into RDAP doesn't guarantee completion. One violation, one failed test, or lack of participation can get someone removed instantly. Sources close to the process say his early stumbles already put pressure on his standing. The stakes couldn't be higher. Complete all phases successfully, and he could earn up to 1 full year off his sentence. That's potentially May 2027 instead of May 2028. Fail out, and the reduction disappears completely. RDAP isn't about shortcuts. It's about confronting addiction at its core. Cognitive behavioral therapy, relapse prevention tools, and life skills training are all designed to prepare inmates for real-world accountability. Many don't finish the program precisely because the vulnerability required is intense. That's why skepticism remains. Is this genuine change or strategic motivation? Can both exist at the same time? Some believe the desire for early release sparks the effort, while the program itself creates authentic transformation. The therapeutic community forces honesty. Peer accountability means other participants call out manipulation immediately. Money, status, and celebrity don't matter inside those therapy circles. You can't fake openness when everyone around you has hit rock bottom too. If he completes RDAP, stays disciplined, and avoids further issues, it could mark a turning point. If not, the full sentence stands firm. Every single day matters now. May 2027 or May 2028, transformation or missed opportunity. The clock is ticking, and the outcome depends entirely on the choices made behind those walls. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to like, comment, and share this video. Subscribe to ScarFame for more deep dives like this, and I'll see you on the next one.